Test, test, test.
You're here.
We see
Ha.
you.
Okay, now, and I can hear and see you all. Good evening.
Good evening, Rich. So, I think the first item on our agenda is approval of our minutes for May 23rd. Does anybody have any comments?
I had one minor typo. Nate's name, Nathaniel, is spelled.
Like it. Oh, I didn't even notice.
It's an
You're right.
interesting
There's too many
spelling.
A's, not enough I's.
Yeah,
So how do you spell it? Nathanil. I know that because in the 5th grade, I spelled it wrong and I had to put it on the board for 500 times.
you spelled your name wrong. Good. That's all I had.
Anybody else?
It's wrong in my template, which is the reason I keep getting it. I apologize.
Hebe or Rich, anything that you've noticed on the minutes that we need to
No, it's all fine to me.
correct?
No, I
If-
don't have anything.
If not, I'd accept a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move that they be approved.
Is there a second?
No, second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 And I'm gonna,
Opposed?
Abstain because I.
You weren't here.
I'm a
And
abstentionist
you're
also,
abstention.
because I
Oh,
wasn't here.
I wasn't either, actually.
I think you can still vote to approve them, even if you.
I don't
You-
think
you
it's,
can-
I don't think it's
I'm not
probably,
going to.
I think it's wise to probably abstain.
Because I didn't know what happened. You guys could have been having a party, I don't.
They were.
You probably were.
So, we have a zoning board appointment. Aaron,
That's me.
that's
You
you.
want to introduce everyone on the board?
Sure. I'm Rich Mengy, the chair.
I'm Tim Cook, vice chair.
I'm Vicky Smith, I'm a member.
David Collin, select board member.
Evie Quinton, I'm an alternate.
And my
And-
name is Rich Brown. Yeah, I'm also an alternate.
And I'm Dave Robbins, the planning and zoning administrator.
Aaron, do you want to pull up a chair and join
Sure.
us?
Sure. Happy to.
A little less formal.
Give you some space.
So, David, maybe you could explain the process, but I think it's the select board or the planning board needs to make a recommendation or actually
Actually do
approve.
the appointment. So
Okay.
for the zoning board of adjustment, there are a 5-member board. 3 of the board members are appointed by the planning board and 2 are appointed by the select board. And so we're trying to fill a few open positions.
Mhm.
Aaron has volunteered to fill one of those, and so I'm looking for the board, ask the board to appoint Aaron as a full member of the CBA.
So there's
Excellent.
no alternates that want to step up?
We have no alternates, we have 3 members, that's it,
Wow,
and 1 is having a baby next month.
oh, okay.
And she's going off, right?
She may ask to be appointed as an alternate, which the planning board appoints all the alternates also.
Mhm.
Okay,
But she will not be available for
Yep.
a while.
Right,
great. Did everybody get a copy of a brief bio from that Aaron supplied?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you recently got a zoning board approval for a solar array.
Sure did,
And how did that go for you?
pretty well.
Uh-huh.
Once we figured out what we had to do and take the right path,
Yeah,
figure it out for everybody.
and since then, that's inspired you to be a member.
Well, I talked to David prior,
Uh-huh,
and then we thought that it was best not to pursue it while I was in the midst of that,
that's a good,
for all the right
Yeah.
reasons,
uh-huh,
and now here we are.
super.
do you have any other experience with zoning or, well, with zoning? Like, you must, I don't think you've lived here like forever, so have you lived in other communities where you've received zoning permits?
Other communities led most recently, and
Uh-huh.
then back home in Massachusetts,
Uh-huh.
very similar process.
So you found it to be this pretty much the same.
Pretty much the
Yeah,
same. Some of the rules are a little bit different. but
Well, the
it's
rules are different,
True
yeah.
everywhere, but the
yeah.
process is large.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. I just didn't know if you'd experienced something that you thought maybe we should bring into our process or something.
You know, it's Leb's a bigger
Yes,
thing, so
Yeah.
it's a little bit more cumbersome to deal with.
uh-huh,
But back home, it was very much like this. It was a
Yeah.
Small party and
right,
everybody was approachable and
Yeah.
accessible, which
Yeah.
makes it function,
yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
you know.
Well, thank you for wanting to serve.
I didn't want the neighbor to be on the board. Feel alone there.
yeah, I guess I just make a few comments. I've never been on the ZBA, but my feeling is that I think one of the hardest things on the ZBA is saying no. Because it's hard. I mean, people come in but. if we
They're your
never- if
neighbors.
We never say no, no, there's no point in having zoning.
Right.
So I think, and you obviously know that probably, and the other thing, of course, is knowing the zoning ordinance really well. I mean, that's, yeah,
I've been
Those
through it
two
a few
thi-
times. I will
yeah.
have to learn the nuance, but that just comes with.
yeah, but those two
Experience.
things I think are really, yeah.
There is online training and several state zoning manuals
Oh.
for orientation
Okay.
that
I have to take a week.
helpful, yeah.
There's some, OEP has some training and they now have some webinars about it, so, or it's still OEP, I never.
I don't know what they call themselves
They
now,
change
but
their
they
names.
change their names all the time, but yeah.
You know them by OEP, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that was OSP for me, but, back when, but yeah, those are, I mean, I would highly recommend that just so don't go in totally, I mean, you've had a little experience, but so you can be a little knowledgeable. It's a lot easier than, I mean, your other choices like reading this.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier doing the webinar than reading the statutes regarding zoning board.
Appreciate that.
So, your schedule allows you to
This is. a
be
decent
free in the
time.
evening?
Yep,
Yep.
I'm sure there'll be a little bit of things I'll have to do on my side,
Mhm.
but I should make the majority of them.
Yeah, because it's only once a month, I think they just. meet once
It's
a
the
month.
third Thursday of the month.
Yeah, so it's not,
Yeah.
And every once in a while, if for some reason we have to add a meeting sometimes. It's
Yeah.
Another, but very rarely.
yeah, because I think recently, because there've been so few members, I think there's been some backup. It's been hard for people to get a hearing, I think, so.
Oh, we got
recently-
everything cleared, although I have 3 cases coming up for next month.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna be busy.
Maybe a 4th.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Rich, do you have any questions or anything you want to mention before we?
Thank you, Rich. Actually, no, Aaron, I think, I think we're always happy to have people come volunteer their time for the good of the town. So thank you very much.
I don't think I have any other questions. I mean, I don't know that, yeah. So I guess at this point, I would accept a motion to approve Aaron Mancuso, is that how we speak?
Thank you, so.
Yep.
Mancuso, as a zoning board member.
I would move to approve them.
Nat
I'll
has
second
done.
that.
All those in favor, say aye, raise your hand. All those opposed, none?
Great, congratulations.
Thanks.
So, what I'm gonna have to do is tomorrow, I'll talk to the town clerk. She will do a oath of office for you. You'll have to
Okay.
come in, sign that before you can act as a board member. The next meeting is the 18th of next month.
Okay.
I was hoping. So, there's some reading. I will send you, some links to those webinars and everything. And then, if you want to come talk to me beforehand, I can kind of go over the formats of the meeting and what to expect. And then, like I said, we have one coming up the 18th, and, Bill Malcolm has been, and Bill, he's, acting as chair, right now, and, does a very good job leading through the meeting, so
Okay.
it should be easy enough to start.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Oh, and thank you guys.
Great.
I'm sure we'll have corresponding coordination.
Good luck.
Efforts in the future here.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
You're
You don't
the-
even bring.
You're the green neighborhood team.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, green shirts, the neighborhood.
So next item on our agenda is site plan review for UVAS LLC, UVA SS. Are you Lauren? Terrific. I think we generally go through a checklist.
I can file a fresh copy for you just to. As a chair, can you go
Oh,
walk
okay.
through all those are, basically all the items out of section 10 of the site plan review regulations,
Okay,
but they're kind of split out to. So you can go through.
terrific. Lauren, I guess maybe before we get started, you could, if you wanted to just summarize what you're doing and what you're adding. I think that would be helpful to us. I know there's a narrative in there, but I'm unfamiliar with what the rest of the facility does or acts as.
So, yeah, this is
No.
Vermont and Connecticut, and this is the Connecticut.
Yeah.
So bed and breakfast, although you don't serve breakfast. And so it's just a bed. That's right.
Cook your own.
And there's a barn on the property that previous owner had wanted to turn it into more of an event space. But it just never materialized, so it has water and electricity. So, looking at this barn, and thinking, you know, there's a lot of people looking for housing in the area and got a great opportunity to do it. And we've got a lot of, you know, we feel like we're making a good impact on. We call ourselves a place for people in transition, so we found like we're filling a really nice niche for people who aren't living somewhere, they're coming to the Upper Valley for the first time. They're here temporarily on a company, so we have our little niche. There is tons of parking. It used to be that this site hosted weddings and events and, you know, they host weddings or events. So I just showed the majority, I just showed the parking that met the requirements, but we have gads and gads of parking. And so I took the existing plans and just showed where the parking spots were that met the requirement. So that's all one of the plans are. And then the other part, so the idea is to have housing or a bed and breakfast unit and a garage in the barn. And the garage for the tractor. And then we have a pad behind the house that we have a tiny house on wheels. I'd like to be able to use as a bed and breakfast unit.
So when you say a garage, where is the garage?
In the barn, there's already a garage in the barn, so we're just building some residential.
So which one is the barn? There's one that says proposed 1-bedroom studio apartment. On the plan,
That's the barn.
is that the
The
barn?
barn is this small one right here.
So it's the lower one, okay.
That's the proposed 1-bedroom studio apartment.
No, it's two.
That's an existing barn.
It's an existing barn, it's all done, there's water, there's electricity, it's just, we're doing stuff on the inside.
So this is,
have septic? It didn't have septic, it had water and electricity.
So is there a new leach field going in?
Yes, that's what the other design, I may not have given the board the don't think I had the extra copies of exactly three.
Oh, we got that.
We have a septic plan.
Oh, okay.
We had a big septic plan.
Is that what this is?
Yes.
So the larger septic system is already there. It's no longer proposed, it's actually exists. This one,
Yes, that is it.
And so what you call the house, is identified as proposed one-bedroom studio apartment on this plan?
Is that for the tiny home?
No, the tiny home goes down
Yeah, I
by the
think
main
some of
building.
these plans must be old, 'cause
These
some
are-
things are.
Well, I don't know,
proposed
you
that
know,
are now
I didn't wanna, the guy who did the plans, who works for the town of Lebanon, it was like $4,000 putting the plans together, when all I'm doing is doing stuff on the inside of buildings, so I just use the plans.
I got you, but I don't know what what you have
Yeah.
here. I'm just reading what you gave me and I don't go down on your property and snoop around, so I don't know.
Let me-
So
let me-
can you orient it
Yes,
for me,
please.
please? Thank you.
So this is the main driveway. This is River Roads out here.
Yep.
Come down the driveway. This is the main house.
Yep.
These are existing parking spots. I just labeled them to show that we met their parking requirement. This purple one is the proposed pad.
Yep.
All right, this is the existing barn, and what we would be doing would be work on the inside of the barn. Exterior of the barn, the only changes would be the putting in different doors and windows,
Mhm.
just because they're older, but the look of the barn, everything about the barn, other than that, stays the same. So we're just doing stuff on the inside here and here. The connection to the water and wastewater is right there, so it's already there. And so the idea would be this little thing would connect into the wastewater here, and then here would be the plan that we hired the engineers and they developed the leach field for the septic tanks and leach field, so that this would have its own separate.
So,
So 1,000 gallons and a 1,500 gallon. Tanks that are for the garage conversion,
That's correct.
and then and the leach field, 7 rows, that's also
I'm
new.
so confused.
That's
So you're putting 2 units in the
In the
barn
barn. One
Okay.
upstairs, one downstairs.
and then there's a pumping station, so that something is pumped now up to the other one?
Right.
No,
This house is on this septic system, but we're not talking about that at all. We're leaving
okay,
that.
so that's a separate house.
This
the
is,
lowest one here,
that's right.
right?
So
Okay.
we're building a completely standalone septic
Right,
system for this new
okay.
development.
And how many units are gonna be in one?
There's one up top and then there's one down below and then the garage. So the garage will be, our space. So it'll sort of be like 3 units. It'll be the garage, the apartment. Well, not the apartment, the bed and breakfast unit and the bed and breakfast unit.
So,
But the garage is a garage, it's not a living space.
Right, there's a garage, there's a utility room, some storage.
Yeah. Okay.
so this orientation really is like this. So the driveway comes to here.
That's correct.
And you have a deck off of both of the units? Is that what this shows? These,
Those are parking spots.
no.
There's a deck on the top one
Yep,
and that's in plan view, so it's showing the deck on the top one, but there's not a deck in the bottom one.
so they don't have a patio or anything like that.
We'll
No.
probably do something.
And how do people get to the second floor? There are no stairs shown?
There will be there's stairs going to the deck.
So they're gonna be exterior stairs going
That's
to the upstairs unit
Yeah,
that will come off the front of the building?
no, they're gonna go in the back.
So someone's gonna drive up and they're gonna walk around and then they're gonna go here and then upstairs?
There's parking down here, so they would, most likely they'd just walk up this, they'd just walk right there.
So they walk across the yard?
Yep.
To get to that.
And both units are full residential units with kitchens and bathrooms, and
They are.
I'm just having a hard time finding the bathroom in the ground level unit, but the upstairs ones are blue.
What did you
Downstairs
think?
one.
Color copies.
Oh, good.
I didn't get color either.
I got color. Must have been the one Lauren made.
You're
and-
special.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
you can get copies, one at a different time, and I did one. One was colored, I
Oh,
gave you a second copy that was black and white, just to make
okay.
sure everyone
I
had
didn't
copies.
get to read it.
okay. So I have a kind of a basic question. So it's a bed and breakfast, but no breakfast. And then I had heard that this was kind of an extended stay I guess I don't know whether it makes a difference to us or not, David, but I had heard that it was kind of like you could stay there for a couple months or something like that.
Lodging and accommodations does not have it, in the zoning ordinance, does not have a limitation on time.
It just says
Okay.
overnight quarters provided to transient guests, and we don't have a definition of transient. So I guess you could, instead of guests, you could, I mean, yeah, rent. There's no limitation on how long a person can stay, is that correct?
For you,
For you, you don't limit them in any way.
They can stay weekly or monthly.
Uh-huh, but no limitation. I mean, if they want to stay there for 3 years, that'd be okay.
We rent them a room for the month.
Right,
But
by the month. Yep. And do they have a lease or is it,
If they request one, then we'll talk about it, but most of the time it's just at will.
mhm,
Right.
okay,
Yeah, because you have some traveling nurses, right? Yeah, and they're there 3 to 6 months or whatever.
Correct.
Right.
so. I'm just having a little bit of a hard time, like, is this really more of a lodging accommodation or is this really more of like a planned residential development with a bunch of different, types of living situations and,
sounds like it straddles the.
yeah. And that's really not for us to decide, it's really a zoning question, the use is a zoning question, we need to see that this site accommodates the use and that there's not impact to the neighborhood, but that's just, and our zoning administrator is here, so he makes that determination.
Yeah, basically, if I'm seeing people coming into the town offices and trying to establish their residency,
Here,
then yes, that's when I have a problem.
okay,
Because then I know that it's not a short term,
uh-huh,
so when people are coming, trying to register their car, register their dogs,
uh-huh.
register to vote,
Putting their kids in school,
putting their kids in school, then we've crossed that line.
Okay.
I don't think the school thing counts, actually. I think a kid can be in the school.
I'm just wondering, at what point is it a multifamily development? And at what point is it truly a lodging
Yeah.
accommodation? That's all, because we don't really have the multifamily development thought about in this way. So I'm just wanting to be like real clear, in case somebody else wants to build something like this and do it new. I mean, it's, yours has evolved that, from like a slightly different emphasis on lodging than it is now. So,
It's
Are
funny
you
though, I
live
mean, I'm
there?
pretty sure if I go to the Hampton Inn, they're not gonna kick me out as long as I keep paying them for the room.
right,
And that doesn't make it an apartment unit, I don't think.
right. Well, does the Hampton have a full kitchen?
Sometimes they have little
Yeah,
mini
yeah,
kitchens.
Yeah, yeah,
A lot of the housing literature does draw a distinction between short-term and long-term rentals.
well, that's usually defined in the zoning ordinance. And we don't have a definition, we just say transient guests, so.
Right.
If you're resident, you're getting your your car registered and your dog registered and your kids in school, and that is what I. But if you're transient, you're not intending to be here for a long time and you're gonna. Move along,
Out
so,
of curiosity, do you know what the average length of stay of your guests is?
Probably a couple months.
I mean, I know that the, refugees stayed there and I thought, oh, that's brilliant, to be able to put people in there that need housing. And, I just want to be sure that it's legit and, that, we're treating people fairly is really what it comes down to.
Can we, I think what we've done in the past is we've gone through
We need
the
to
site
do
plan
that.
review checklist,
Right.
We need to
to
do
see if we have a, complete application.
This would be a conversion, is that right?
Yes,
And is there any problem with 4.46?
Yes.
Discuss this.
there is.
Yeah.
So when we talked about that one, through the checklist, there's a very, approvals from the ZBA, I can address that.
David, am I supposed to mark this up to give back to you?
Yes,
Okay. So don't write it, don't scribble on it. Okay,
if you want to scribble on, I got extra copies.
okay,
It's probably better that you scribble on it.
Yeah.
If that's like you keeping notes,
Yeah.
David's got it.
okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we did. John and I did this. We wrote it, everything on,
Okay,
you know.
It is basically section 10 of the site plan review
Oh, okay,
regulations.
okay.
That's what talks about all the application requirements.
so names and addresses of each abutter, by map and lot number.
Yeah, that is in the, well, it came in the narrative, and look at the back page of that first application, your very first page. And top page and look on the back of it.
Yep, okay,
And so those, with the exception of, because the plans had Rod Finley's stamp on it, I needed to notice him also, so we added Rod Finley to the address list.
okay. Names and business addresses of every engineer, architect,
Yeah.
soil scientist, so on and so forth.
Yeah, there were two, there's, the septic designer, Michael Carbonell, was that, yeah, and then, again, Rod Finley was the other.
And from what I can tell, this is a record drawing from a project that was built in 1996.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how Rod Finley can be a submitting engineer on this.
The requirement is anybody whose professional stamp appears on the submitted documents. And his stamp appeared on the documents.
Okay.
So he gets a notice.
Okay,
So is that recently he stamped it, or
Now,
is
this
it
is
just
back in 96,
the old, that he's still alive and?
working for Lebanon.
but this is not his plan.
This is his plan. What I did, is I'm also a professional engineer. I put on the gray, I put this
The colors,
color.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um. I don't know how to deal with that. I have,
are you an engineer also? Do you want to disclose?
yeah, well, I was a PE. I'm no longer a PE. I retired, but, yeah, I have concerns with people's stamps showing up on plans that are being used not for their original
I
purpose.
tried, I didn't realize, I told David this earlier, I didn't realize his name was on it somewhere. I
Uh-huh.
thought, it's whited out. I didn't realize it was on it. So
Yeah,
I was surprised when David said, hey, I need to contact the person. I said, why?
uh-huh,
And that was why.
okay.
Because the stamp appears on the.
There's a stamp
Yeah,
of this,
I didn't see that. So that was my bad.
Because I guess I would submit that, the references. That there should be a note on this plan that it was prepared by you, by the owner or whoever prepared it.
Okay.
I mean, what Finley's original engineering for the footings of the stuff that's there, the foundation.
Right,
Not gonna be affected. So,
right, I mean, he is, this appears to be an as-built drawing of a septic system. And it seems like it should be indicated that the base plan is from the 1996 plan as modified by you, the owner, and required approvals prior to site plan review.
So this is where, again, it's an oddity in the zoning, but if you look under conversions, it is
Page 24.
Section 464, says that if a use is permitted in table 4.1, this is lodging and accommodations, it's a permitted use. Then a conversion of all or part of a single building to that use may be allowed. But then it goes on to say, any conversion requiring site plan review, which is noted in table 4.1 that it is required. Must meet all the criteria of section 1210, which refers to the site plan review regulations, as well as the following criteria. And under A, it says structures less than 5 years old or structures were not served by wiring, heating, plumbing, including sanitary facilities during the previous 5 years shall only be converted or shall not be converted to any other use than a single dwelling.
For 5 years.
Right, well, it says for,
Right
after the 5 years.
After 5 years, you can.
Right.
So to me, that says that we cannot convert to lodging and accommodations because it doesn't have plumbing. And it can only be a single dwelling, and that's gonna open up a lot of other cans of worms about having the mixed use on the property. You're only allowed one primary use, it's lodging and accommodations. You can't have mix dwelling units with lodging and accommodations because they're both primary uses. So we run into an issue there that I said, I don't believe that the conversion can occur. I think it's maybe an oversight in the zoning.
What do you suppose the point of that was?
Well, the point was originally to prevent people from building a large building and then saying, oh, now I'm gonna convert it to 6 dwelling units. It kind of gives the,
So that's something that the zoning board could take up, right?
yes, I believe
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
could, I believe that there's a good argument for a variance.
Mhm.
That the zoning is causing the hardship, not, you could tear down that building right now and rebuild it. And it's not a conversion, you're rebuilding it as lodging and accommodations, it's an allowed use. And I wouldn't have any issues with it, it's a converting of the existing building that I see as the issue.
Well, it also says that it needs to be served by septic,
Which we have a plan,
right,
But it hasn't.
but it is served, it's not will be served.
right,
Building is served, it's just not.
Right.
So I'm looking for your recommendation, Dave, then, that we should be asking the applicant to, or we should be asking the applicant to apply for variance.
yes, to the zoning board of adjustment, I don't believe that we can do the conversion. Or that I can allow the conversion under the current zoning.
Okay. So we should be marking, checking yes.
Yes, checking yes for a variance from the ZBA, and I don't see any other, there's no special exceptions that are written into this. It would be a variance.
So that would be non-applicable then.
I don't, oh, yeah, for the special
Special-
exceptions, yeah, not applicable.
And subdivision approval from planning board, this is not a subdivision,
Not a subdivision.
okay. So once these units get, if they become approved in the future. And the owner or a future owner wanted to subdivide or sell. Say this new barn duplex. What would happen?
You'd either have to subdivide the land off completely if you were trying to do it with such as a condo. It could be subdivided condos as rental units, for lodging and accommodations, but it again couldn't be, as long as it's on the same property, it could not be residential.
Uh-huh, okay,
Now, there is a planned development and there, although I don't believe planned development is allowed in the rural district. I'd have to
Okay.
No, it's not allowed in the plan development, it's not allowed in the rural district.
Okay. Moving on to departmental review and written comments.
Yes.
So I think the first item is, first department is fire department.
I believe that there should be a review by the fire department.
Right.
I absolutely feel that way. I think there needs to be two means of egress for anything that's occupied, especially that second floor unit. And, I'm also not sure what the floor plan of the tiny home will allow in terms, if there's just one. I don't know if there's a loft situation and how a person would get out of there if there was a fire in the tiny home, so.
Well, as I'd like to have, Mike Kinsley would be the one to do the
Yep.
review for the life safety for the
Yep.
fire, and he's also the health officer.
Yep,
And
good.
so he would be able to look at this, so I do
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah, and then two other things, I want to know about the adequacy of the driveway that serves the current house and the barn. For fire equipment getting there year round. And to make sure that, I don't know if it's flat or not, and then also, it looks like from the original plan that. Parking has moved into the dooryard area of the main part of the lodging accommodation, and that we still have the ability for our fire equipment to maneuver in that area with parked cars. So those are like, so the building safety and then the adequacy of the driveway and just can they maneuver? And I don't know, why was the place where the tiny home, you've got that as a hard packed surface. Why was that hard packed surface? Well, what's there now? Was that a turnaround or what was it?
Just.
I mean, did you have a dumpster there at some point or? So, I mean, just.
Parking, just
Well, is it parking? I mean, it looks like a turnaround area. I don't know for whom, and people don't usually put in extra expense if you don't need to, so I just wondered what that little neck was for.
Well, in fact, actually, that brings up a question I had was, it looks like the plan, the original wastewater plan had the building, this octagon or whatever that is. Is it in fact in the area that you've got in red? And what's shown on the plan is not correct from 96?
Vicky, looking at the
Right, the
Pick-
red is
Yeah,
of that
correct.
area, it looks like it's handicap accessible from that pad that you're asking.
Well, if that's your handicap space, where are you gonna put that then?
The main entrance for the house is here,
Mm-hmm.
so these spots are
Oh, your handicap
there's no
spot.
change,
And you're not, are they signed handicap?
no.
Uh-huh. Cause you probably should have a handicap sign up.
Wait.
You're a public facility, so.
This, I think what you're talking about two different things. We're talking about where up near where the tiny home is gonna be, which is the 15
Okay.
unit. I think that's what you were asking about, Vicky, right?
I'm wondering why, who would waste the money on hard pack if it
Yeah.
wasn't for some reason. I thought, well, maybe there's a dumpster there. or
So is
maybe-
that the handicap parking space
I
now?
put the hard pack in just because I had the guy doing the hard pack and I thought I wanted.
Okay, so you really didn't have a use for it, okay?
So are there handicap spaces up here?
There's no change, so these are the closest ones, because there's a ramp right here, so you'd enter. it.
Right. So you should have at least one handicap sign. Yeah, I mean, they're inexpensive and just to put it there. So that you're compliant.
So we're looking for fire department of, review, highway department.
Yeah, and I just wonder if there's a fire, there's no pond on site, right? They're bringing all the water to the site.
No,
Okay.
we have,
Oh, you have a hydrant?
no,
Oh,
underground right here is a giant tank.
oh, you have a cistern.
And that giant tank is connected automatically to all of the heads in the house.
So it's sprinkled?
And it's things.
Okay,
Oh,
so
that's nice.
it'd be just like, if there's a call up to the barn or the house, it'd be just like a regular house call. In terms of the amount of water they'd have to bring up to there. So I mean, this looks like a residential thing, and I just wanted to make sure that, there was a source for. And it seemed like that's a bigger, structure, and you might need more water than would be easily
I don't know if they
supplied.
can pump from the river or not, is it too far?
No, it's
No.
too far.
Too far
Yeah,
down?
but the cistern is there for that reason.
Or up is for up here. There's,
Yep,
it's
yep.
not in the barn.
Exactly, got it. Yep, but that's nice that that's there.
But since the tiny home is up there, I think that,
The tiny
It-
home
it-
is down there, you mean?
No, the tiny home is
Is
right
that-
here.
Is,
next
is
to
where the purple is.
That's right.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. tiny
yeah.
home, Yep.
So
I'm more,
I would think that we should be getting. We should be getting information on what you have for the cistern and some. Some rudimentary information on that, you know, is the building sprinkled?
Yeah.
Um,
did you test that, or does fire department come down and test that every year?
We have a contractor,
Uh-huh,
Vermont Life Safety, and
Yep.
they come in every year.
Oh, good.
It's on automatic dial, the fire department, they,
Yep.
I mean, it's.
perfect, that's
all
great,
automated.
that's good, great.
okay. So getting back to highway department review,
That's something that's up to the board. I don't. You know, with the small number of units, I don't think there is, going to be that much increase on River Road, or that much impact, so I,
yeah,
would personally suggest the board waive that
uh-huh,
requirement.
Yeah, I'm
I
good
agree.
with waiving
Yeah,
that
me
too.
too.
and we're
So-
not aware of any. I mean, it's relatively flat at the driveway entrance, so
Yeah.
Good
Scott doesn't
entrance.
have any issues with the driveway,
No.
okay. So, we will
Well,
waive
why
that,
don't we make a big list, but okay, if you wanna do it, I'll move that we waive it. We can
Well,
waive
why
it.
don't you wait till the end,
Okay,
and
okay,
then,
we can do it all
when
together.
you vote to, approve, approve with all the
Yep,
waivers.
yep,
and
yep,
just-
okay,
That's
yep.
typically how the board has been doing it.
Yeah,
police department,
Again,
I would want Sean just to know that there's no longer exclusively private use up that driveway and that there are lodgers up there,
yeah, I think,
but just to
Having-
let him know, FYI kind of thing, I don't,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think he needs to, do a response plan and,
no.
is it possible for us to get something from him saying, I understand that, or,
The business use is continuing up there. Do you live on the property? So do you live up there, up that driveway? Okay, so there's gonna be some business use up near, where Warren lives, and just, I would just FYI.
okay, I
send
can,
him-
I can talk
yeah.
to Sean
Yeah.
easy enough.
Yeah, just so.
I
that
mean, he
knows.
can either say he has no comments, or he can respond and say,
I'm just happy.
I've
to-
reviewed it and I have no comments. Or I have concerns, and you can list them.
So I'll give him a copy of the application and
Yeah.
ask him to
All right,
review.
okay.
The select board review,
David, can
Dave,
you think
that's
of
your-
anything that the select board wants to know about this?
Can't imagine, I don't think so.
Okay. Fine, so let's waive select board.
conservation commission,
I don't,
my
No,
only.
no changing to the footprint.
well.
My only question would be, are there any? As a result of big rainfalls, are there any erosion problems on the site or anything like that?
It's flat.
When I-
50 feet from the-
I've been in there for putting
Yeah.
up tents for those guys and it's dead flat. The field,
Well, why,
Yeah, I mean, this driveway goes down
I
pretty
mean,
steeply.
it's 470
traffic.
feet down to 402 feet, so there's
It's a
60.
steep- It's a flat and then it's a super steep hill and then it's flat and the septic is proposed on the flat.
Right.
Okay. So we're thinking we would waive that,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would.
okay?
I agree.
And school district
No, no kids
Bye.
in school, so.
by reason of the application being transit, that this is
Yeah.
transient
Yep.
housing?
Right.
Yep,
So what happens if somebody moves here and they have a kid and they want to live here for 2 months?
Well, I think they can put the kid in the school, which is perfectly fine. It's gonna throw up a flag to me if I'm probably not gonna find out about it from the school.
Uh,
Because, that's, it's when I start hearing, what's gonna happen is that the town clerk's office is going to flag me if, somebody tries to register a car or, say, wait a minute, this isn't this is a business, not a
mhm.
residential. And, they will let me know. So school district, I don't think is an issue for, if you need to put your kid in school, they're gonna take them. I mean, it's not.
Uh-huh.
Right.
um,
Yeah, presumably it would be for less than a year.
Right.
Or, yeah.
This is all one address.
Right.
So,
So do we end up with findings of fact on this?
Yes.
And so one of the findings of fact is that there will be no impact to the school system?
Yep. Or
Um,
it can be if that's what the board wants.
well, we're making an assumption that we're not gonna have more than transitory guests there. Under that assumption, we can say there are gonna be no impacts. Right?
well, I mean, it's being approved as a transitory
Well,
facility,
it's a
isn't it?
It's a lodging accommodation, yep,
But
which
it-
says transient guests.
There
Yeah.
could be an impact on the school, though, if the kid's there for 6 months. In the school for 6 months. I don't know whether that's
But,
counted.
again, you're talking, maybe one or two kids. I don't see that as an impact that the school needs to make a statement and then.
I mean, we
Right.
have the statement, we know that what their tolerance is, they can take 1 or 2 kids.
Right, yeah, that's only one. Okay.
Okay. So narrative summary of proposed use and associated building area for each use.
Well, we did get a narrative in the application.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
So that's a yes.
Yep.
Days and hours of operation, number of employees,
No employees, they said that, and he said the hours of operation would not change.
24/7, the hours of operation.
so I'm curious, how do you not have employees? I mean. If you've got 17 rental rooms, how do you do that?
I'm the owner and I work really hard.
Uh-huh, well, that's great.
well, if you have contractors, like if you hire somebody to come in and clean,
Yeah,
that's not an employee, that's a contracted service.
Right, it's not somebody who's there every day that you need to.
Manning the front desk, for
Oh.
example,
okay,
or doing security.
Is that what you do for cleaning and things like that? You just hire an independent contractor?
okay,
Don't work that hard.
Hours in the day.
so that's a yes. The need for utility services by type.
I couldn't find anything, but I was wondering if since, the utilities are kind of set for what's there, if it was something that the board could waive.
I would think
Yeah.
that it would be good to have
Yeah.
a site plan that
As a-
actually shows us, because we've got. I was kind of confused about the purpose of and connection of the wells, apparently there's a non-potable, well.
Yeah.
Shown. And since utilities are a requirement of site plan, I would think that we would want to show, I mean, it is, you obviously have buried sewer, you have buried water,
Or is electrical buried?
is electric buried?
Do you know where the conduit is? Where, does it follow the roads or?
It's on one of the plans. I just really don't wanna hire a whole surveying team, a whole engineering to redo plans when I'm just putting stuff inside existing buildings. That was my goal, but I get it.
It should have been documented before, honestly. What we're working from is a, water and sewer plan, not a site plan. And there should have been a site plan for this. So that's, I mean, and we're just trying to do the best we can also, but, and I don't have a problem if you can clearly indicate what's going on here with, I personally don't care about hiring somebody. I just want to know where these things
Yeah,
are.
so
And
what's-
you can do this. You've got the skills to be able to annotate the map so that we know what's there.
Yeah, so right now the electricity comes here and goes down the way.
Uh-huh.
So that's the electricity.
So there's
The-
there's poles there.
There's a pole right here.
Yep.
So, and then it's underground here and then it goes down here.
Right.
There's one well that serves the whole property. It's really, it has so much water.
Yeah.
When we tried to chlorinate it once, we had a really hard time pumping it dry.
That's a good situation to have.
So that where it says proposed, so what you would do is say existing drilled well, right?
Yeah, that's.
If
exist-
you were to modify this so that we could,
This,
have something that's kind of.
this.
Oh,
is
so
the well
that is the
not
well?
even used. This one down the hill, it's a well cap, but we're not using it all. This is the well for everything. All the water goes to the house. It's all treated in a big fancy system and then it goes down the hill.
Right here.
to here.
Right, okay,
And then the wastewater gets pumped, there's a pump station here and the wastewater gets pumped up and everything, all the wastewater goes here. So you have water lines, you have wastewater
Yeah.
lines, you have electric.
Yes.
So none of that's changing. There's a big electrical thing here, so they'll just do the new service to the barn.
is
So
that a
we-
transformer is what you're talking about?
Yeah,
The
I don't
big
know what
thing?
the thing's called.
Is it a big box?
Box.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably
transformer.
transformer.
Yeah,
And so that will bring the separate line into that one. And then everything else,
so the barn already has power though,
the
right?
barn has power and water.
So what are you saying about separate from the transformer?
So right now, this unit right here,
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to separate it.
Oh, I see it. Okay, so separate service. I got it. Okay.
Right. So there's poles down the driveway to where it splits off.
No, the poles come through the woods
Oh, yeah, that's right.
and then they stop back here and then they go underground to the house.
Right, yeah, then, yeah. Doesn't matter.
So that is not shown, and we would like to see that.
Yeah, just to have the electrical service where it goes, and I mean, my personal feeling is if Lauren can show us that, I don't need to have it surveyed and,
Right.
but I just want it clear, and if you could locate the transformer too. I mean, I know it's all gonna be about, it's about here, but, to show that there's a transformer there, that would be helpful.
And so maybe the note would say approximate location of buried power.
Right.
Yes,
And
Yeah.
transformer.
yep,
And, yeah,
yep.
Feasible without.
You have Lyme, is there fiber?
We have line fiber.
Does it come in on the electrical side or does it come down?
It comes down the power pole.
Yeah.
And then goes underground.
Nice.
So are we saying we want to show the electric service? Do we want the internet or?
Well, he could say, I assume it's in the same conduit
Yeah.
or,
It's right next.
yeah,
Next
so
to-
electric and fiber.
And so you also wanted the water.
Yeah, and to show like just on this plan so that we have one plan that shows everything, to have, you know, where the new septic is approximately gonna be located. You don't have to draw the tank is here because we have a nice plan of that, but just to show the general area, that'd be good. And so are you gonna create a pathway for the tenants and going to the barn? I mean, you're gonna have to snowplow, but is there a path? for
What
them?
I'm kind of thinking right now, this is a flat old parking area. It's not currently used right now,
Okay,
so. The deck on this one will be about the same level as there. So I'm thinking of putting this cool little bridge
uh-huh,
to connect the deck to the parking area.
okay.
But I'm not committing to that. I'm just, you know,
uh,
all of this. It's just I want to do all the planning stuff,
mhm.
and I don't want to spend, you know, gazillion dollars in time. I want to make sure it's gonna get approved before I do all that, but my thought is, there's plenty of parking to park here. It's a really nice walk. You can see the river.
Mhm.
There's easy walk either way. So it's not a big deal.
Well, I don't mean to be nosy, but if you, I am gonna be nosy, because what I want is the plan to show what you intend to build. So if you intend to put your, you know, a little parking area, you could say potential future parking area here. And, you know, connected with your little bridge or pathway, you could say potential future, just so
Okay.
when, in 10 years, when you come back, you know, we're not like, oh my gosh, how'd that happen? You know, we didn't hear about that.
One of the
That would be
issues that I
nice.
have is that, I see an awful lot of parking, a lot of buildings, for commercial uses inside the rural district. Driveways and, parking areas are counted towards your lot coverage. And I don't have, an accurate number,
Uh-huh.
so, anything new, I'm gonna deny. Any permit, you know, for new parking, for a bridge, because I don't know what your lot coverage is based on, so this is a good time for this site plan. And when we get down to the next item, that is one of the items that is severely lacking in your site plan. Which is all the lot size, building footprints, gross floor areas, lot coverage calculations,
Because nothing's changed.
nothing's changing.
but we
Doesn't
don't
mean
know,
it's legal.
We
I mean,
don't know
look,
what-
we
had
don't
a
know what
huge
is, you know.
Problem with that 85 Dartmouth College Highway, they came through for the subdivision, and it's like, we didn't have any of that information, we didn't have the baseline. So it's mainly
So
to
that's-
document where we are now, and even if it hasn't changed, just to establish that, I mean, some of that's gotta be like on the tax card,
It's
right?
gotta be envisioned, yeah.
Yeah, well, the buildings are there, but the lot coverage,
Right,
you know, we don't have the driveways.
okay, well, Lauren fortunately is an engineer, so he can figure that
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
You're in the
Yeah.
right field.
How many acres do you have?
22, wasn't it?
Something like that.
22.
But you're still going to max out at 26,000 square feet of lot coverage. Now, it's all existing. And so, you know, knowing that number where you're at just tells me going forward, how much space you have left.
Right, yeah, it would be good, it'd be good for you to know that too, probably.
So
Yeah.
it's at 12%, is that what you're saying?
Well, it's 12% or 26,000 square feet. Whichever is the lower of the two numbers.
Right.
And so
So we would like to have those calculations provided.
yeah,
please.
and also if you're planning on, you know, your dream situation is to have the parking there, I mean, I can understand if you're here at the house, you don't necessarily want tenants. That, you know, right. You know, they should have their, and maybe they would feel the same way, not parking in your dooryard, but having their own. Parking and way to their home. So I can totally see that that's reasonable, so I would put that on there, and anything else you think? You know, you'd want, and the other question I had kind of about pedestrian circulation is that. Pretty much these people never really have to go here because you're not serving breakfast anymore.
Correct.
So there's no reason to have signage or any kind of lighting or anything like that, because they're separate, pretty much, okay.
Right.
So in terms of specifics here, I think item D for lot size building footprint, gross floor area and lot coverage calculations. And then the other item is, identifying whether this is within any of the conservation districts.
There was some issues, in the past for, ag soils, but I believe, those were already resolved through the zoning board, and since the building exists.
Okay,
And I just would have to check the new parking area to make sure we're not adding. Parking in. Those in the ag soils.
Right.
okay, so we want this, it's not submitted. Other information requested, to assist in reviewing. Maybe we'll come up with that, as we continue down the checklist. So traffic and parking is the next item on our checklist. No, that's
Site
not.
plan, general map.
Well, there's, traffic and parking was the older. Checklist had neglected to have that, and it is a section.
The one David gave me here is,
So,
has traffic and parking, so it doesn't.
This is an old one.
the traffic and parking plan is section 10.4 of regulations.
So provide a traffic and parking plan, including an estimate of the max hourly. Or other appropriate period is determined by the planning board. Into and out of the present premises. I've been to the sheep farm. That shares this driveway, is that correct?
It's our driveway, they have an easement.
They have an easement,
The Sonovich.
yeah. Are there any known problems or
I have not heard of any
issues?
issues.
One of the things that I do think, I'm not sure where it would come in is. I think since we're documenting what's there, we should have a description or a section or something of the drive to indicate that it's a 15-foot driveway or a 12-foot driveway. Do we have a specific requirement for driveway widths for this
I
type of
don't believe
project?
so.
That might. come
Just, there's something about, making sure emergency vehicles can pass by a car. At certain intervals, depending on.
Yeah.
how
Well,
long
if
the
it's more than
driveway-
1,000 feet long, then you have to
Right.
do it every year, yeah.
Cause I mean,
Yeah,
unless it's in the winter and it's only plowed to 8 feet wide, I think people can generally get around, but I think since we are looking to document what's there. What we're approving, I think it would be appropriate to indicate. What kind of driveway you have. I mean, it's gravel, but it's X number of feet wide. What does the board think about? A traffic plan? I mean, I think that's like. Number of. Cars coming in and out. I mean,
he does say that. I think what he submitted was fine.
okay,
But you would like to see on the plan the width of the driveways?
Yeah, and Mike Kinsley probably would weigh in on that also.
Yes, make sure that they can get their equipment.
I would
That's
make
the
sure,
fire chief, right?
yep.
Well, he's, no, Aaron Rich is the fire chief. Mike Kinsley is one of the deputies that, but he has
Former fire chief and.
former fire chief, building inspector from Hanover.
Yeah, he works for the
Ground
Hanover.
Safety officer.
Fire
Yeah,
department.
No, he doesn't know.
I thought.
Oh, he doesn't?
Health and safety, health officer.
So Lauren, where does this go? This past your house, the driveway,
It used to be a campground, and that
Uh-huh.
used to be the loop for the campground.
so that's off your property or further down
It's
on?
still on our property,
Uh-huh.
but it's overgrown. It's
What's
Okay,
he looking
So
at?
just like this stub of the driveway, I was wondering where it went. Cause it goes past the barn, past the house and goes to like, I'm not sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's a river,
See that?
where's the river? It's over here.
River's down here. He kept going, so this thing looped around and then
Uh-huh.
went over onto the next door neighbor
Oh,
Peter's
yeah.
property and then it came back here. So
Okay.
that's why so this was the old campground
Okay,
when these two parcels were the same. owner.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
okay. See that,
Guy's neighbor.
Rich?
Yeah, I see those.
Yeah,
When you said the two parcels were the same owner, so, oh, so there's a different parcel that's
The
different.
property.
This lot that was subdivided at one
Remember that?
point.
Oh,
development that
okay.
we went through, what was it? Remember he was gonna put 6 houses?
Marvin Gerwin.
Yeah, Mark
German,
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 that's right,
German.
Marvin German.
Yeah,
He owned it, he was gonna put, well, he wanted to put 6 or 8 houses in here. But it never.
So,
happened.
let's keep
Remember
on
seven-
task here. We're never.
here's five.
So traffic flows on connecting roads,
I'm good with that.
we're
We
gonna
don't need
say
more-
that that's
Yeah,
okay.
we don't need additional information, in my view, I don't think we do.
Okay,
Are we waiving that? Yeah, or like,
Yes.
okay, we're waiving that.
The only part of the park I have a question is, do you want to, see where you have, snow plowing and snow storage areas?
I wanna see where the snow storage area is, yes, please, if you could put that on your sketch, that'd be good.
We use a snow blower.
Uh-huh,
We get a big tractor with a snow blower and just blows the snow.
So
I,
they're not big cloud piles.
I had kind of a couple questions on the parking spaces. I don't count the number of spaces that you have. You indicate 29.
I
and
got
mean,
29.
Really, where's
You had
the,
to count up by the barn and the house. I
I ended up with 28.
oh jeez, did I go crazy?
But I also am
14,
relative,
and then.
Yeah, I got
19.
28 too. but
Oh, I
that's-
don't have, yeah, there is 28, because I don't have a 20, huh? Yeah, I have 28,
well, you use the same counting method as.
yeah, yes, I don't, yeah, no, somehow I don't have.
So are the-
28,
Up at the big house with the octagon, there's 3 of them that look like maybe they're in a garage.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, is that a parking space? Garage? Okay,
These are all, these are all spots. This is really a large area. You can see formerly they parked this way, so just to make it simpler, I put them this way, but
uh-huh,
there's tons.
yeah, the question is do they obstruct the fire trucks, the way that they're arrayed, that's my question.
Yep.
And if people were parked there, could the fire trucks get in and out? If they needed to respond to an emergency there, and I know you got sprinkler, so, but they'd still gonna respond.
And so basically, looking at the appendix A, the on-site parking for a bed and breakfast, owner's unit needs 2 parking spaces
Right.
and then each room. And again, I don't know if this has changed in the last year, but the approval and what's on the tax card says there are 15 units. So that would be 1 per unit, so that would be 15 parking spaces for the unit, so a total of 17 is the number I get for what's.
What we have
allowed
there
now.
now,
Quiet,
yeah,
yeah.
that's including the owner's unit,
Yes, that's including the owner's unit.
okay, because he's providing, I think, 18 for the owner's unit plus the 16.
well, I see 28 here, so,
I want to say, I believe
But
there's
then-
plenty of,
yeah, there's plenty. I think
Plenty of
there's lots
parking.
parking.
Right.
Yeah,
Especially if you put in.
his calculations show he needed 24 and he's got
Mhm.
28, so.
Yep.
We're happy, I mean, he does have to take one out for a handicap or no?
I think handicap spaces should count, I mean.
Okay,
I've been in towns where they do count and where they don't count, but yeah, and it's like, so what if you have a EV charger, does that count? Or is that charging space and not a parking space? But
Depends on
think-
how long the corridor.
fortunately, I think we're out of the woods on this, I don't think,
yeah,
I think he's.
so
I
yeah,
think
just
that's
to have a HC sign on the closest space, that will be a positive thing.
And safe pedestrian circulation. Are we waiving that or?
I would waive it. I don't think there's any, I mean,
So it seems like it has, I mean, people can walk down the driveway if they need to, but there's no reason for them to come to, unless they're, well, I mean, they're friends with the other people. But, you know, it's a steep slope. So. Is there a trail that connects it anyway? I mean, just kind of informal trail?
yeah, I think there's plenty of space.
So what are we saying on that? Is that a yes or no?
The-
Or a waive?
Wave,
I'd say waive.
Okay. All right. So now site plan general. This is the same. So reference to a perimeter boundary survey.
We're waiving that, right?
I think we need to waive that.
Yeah.
Tax map and lot numbers, that was included.
In the past, the board has asked that on site plans, all the butters. And their address information are included on the plan. But that's. Again, up to the board if they,
yeah,
Well, he doesn't
we
have,
have it.
I mean, that could be, yeah.
right, I know that, but it's usually also on.
Can you array it around here, just on your inset map, because you're gonna be modifying this plan, just put, you know, where people are, kind of,
There are no visible butters on the plans. I mean, I guess on this,
Well, the inset, I think what she's talking about.
yeah, yeah, just to array it around here,
Okay.
well, not through the river, but, you know. Yeah, and across the street, you could just put that, and, you know, just generally where their homes are located.
okay,
People across the river aren't considered a butter.
You know, they're not.
But if this was New Hampshire, it would.
Yes,
This
yes,
is
it
the
was.
Merrimack, it would, or Pemigewasset,
Really, it's
Cro-
because it's a state boundary. that
because it's
Yeah.
across the street or stream.
Don't
it's-
care about us on the other side of the river.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's. New Hampshire owns to the high water mark on the other side.
Which is interesting. That means that the people on the other side have some New Hampshire property.
yes, they would.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And so,
I don't think they're getting taxed by Lyme though.
we should think about it.
Yeah,
a location map shown as an inset on the site plan.
we have that right here.
Okay.
Yep.
The north point or north arrow graphic scale data prep. Date of any revision,
the
so
north arrow was the only one I found,
Yeah, you go to North Arrow.
and I didn't see a graphic scale unless I missed it.
it's just that the 20-to-1.
Okay, it would need to be noted just because.
Well,
Somebody,
He notes it in
no, it should be on the
it should be on
plan.
the plan, because anyone looking at the plan should be able to not have to go through the file to find the application, to find the scale.
Yeah,
It should
just
be-
add this.
All plans should
Yeah.
have a scale.
so it should have a graphical scale.
Yep.
Is what we're
Or
talking,
I'm even happy with a note that just says what the scale is. I don't,
but then you never know whether it's
Copied and-
reduced
yeah.
or
Right.
enlarged, so
Graphic scales the
I
best.
think the graphic scale is a requirement,
okay,
We're gonna assemble all of this in a list for this.
yeah.
yes, this,
Yeah.
the list that Rich is working on right now.
And then as we spoke earlier, you would also indicate a note on here that the base plan was from the, whatever it was from, and then it was prepared by you or whoever is doing the preparation of the plan.
And then also the dates, just so that we have a date for
Yeah,
when this was done.
Zoning districts, including lines of demarcation.
It's all the rural.
It's all the rural districts, so what we've done in the past is just asked for a note that says this entire plan is within the rural district.
So it's a note on the plans.
Note on the plan.
It's gonna get crowded.
Yeah.
The seal of any professional or firm preparing the site plan.
I think that your note is gonna,
We're gonna waive that, right?
Yeah,
Waive the seal.
Town of Lyme Conservation Districts. Does this fall within any of the conservation, you mentioned the
yeah,
ag
their ag
soils.
soils are gonna be steep slopes.
Steep slopes, yeah.
Um,
So those do need to be shown.
that's up to the board if they feel that seeing them is necessary. My leaning is that they're not necessary because from what we're seeing on this plan, there is no new development being proposed. It's all existing.
I can concur with that.
Yeah, I
Do-
agree. But and you, David, you said you were gonna check ag soil for the parking.
Well,
just to
well,
make sure.
again, as this plan stands, there's no parking there. If that's something that gets added, then we have to check it, but what was submitted to the board tonight, there is no parking there.
Okay,
And again, we don't know the lot coverage numbers, and so we don't know if that could even be allowed. You know, you may be already over, again, I don't know the answer to that.
Right,
So if
so,
you have an existing development that's over the lot coverage, it just is grandfathered in and.
Right, it was, originally approved, it's, I have no way of going back and saying, now you need to,
That wouldn't be fair.
right.
okay, location area, dimensions of all existing proposed buildings, driveways, sidewalks, parking spaces, loading areas, storage areas, including, snow, open spaces, landscaping, buffer areas, large trees, open drainage sources, service areas, and easements. So I think we've already identified we would like to have snow storage shown.
Or just a note if he says he blows it. So,
right.
or, put a note about what you do with your snow.
And then we're also, want something to describe the driveway, in terms of what the width of the driveway is.
And I think if you just get several points along it, measure it and just mark it on the map, I think that would be, at least to me, if that's sufficient for.
Yep.
Are there any easements that you know of?
Just for Peter, the neighbor, to go down the driveway, and he has an easement down this driveway to get to his lower field.
Feels to me like that should be documented.
Is that something that's in your
Probably in the deed.
your deed?
I'm not sure. I know that the first day we bought it, Peter came up to me and said, I have an easement to use this. I said, great, we have no problem with that.
But you never saw the easement there, right?
Yeah.
It should
You
be in
said-
your
It should
deed.
be on the deed.
Yeah. should
I
be
believe
your-
it.
Your deed.
Yeah,
So are
I'm
we
curious,
saying
right?
we want that on here or we don't want that on here?
We can have a little note to say that this driveway is subject to easement by
by
whoever
the
the lot
neighbor.
owner is. I mean, we don't have to say his name, but owner of map 3 lot, whatever,
Okay,
so
30.2 is gonna be the
Okay.
lot number, I forget the
Okay.
map number.
easements to benefit. Owner of.
405 30.2 is the. Would be that,
okay.
well,
We,
it's 30.1 is a subdivision, but a lot, so it's 30.2 has to be the.
so we've talked about showing, the underground utilities.
And just make a note that it isn't surveyed or necessarily its approximate location, so.
The freshwater supply, I think that needs to be beefed up to clarify.
So it should say
Well-
existing drilled well serving entire development or something like that instead of proposed drilled well.
And then the tank.
Cistern.
Now, the septic's plan has a proposed water supply from existing, so I thought you indicated the garage already had water.
It does, how it's currently is the water's coming from this into there. So the water's, right now what's happening is the well goes to the house, goes to this one, goes underground to this one. That's its current setup.
Okay. I think what we'd like to have is show the current and then show the proposed.
Yep.
Sewage disposal system, so for the apartment that is shown, what's happening with the tiny house?
It's plumbed right into the system, so it's.
So that is, it will be illegal. You need to have a separate plan for that. And I verified that with the state this week,
Okay,
that it would need its own tank, or this is what the inspector told me, that it needs its own tank and going into the connection into the leach field.
okay.
Which also brings up the freshwater supply for the tiny house. I really think the board needs to see how, not only, you know, the septic, the power and the fresh water all need to be shown how that's being done. Again, I don't know, you know, it's something that, again, I'll have Mike Kinsley particularly look at.
I did.
We have nothing from him.
Yeah, so what's happening right now is right here is a utility room that has the electrical, the hot water, the cold water and the sewage. So it was just like a 10-foot thing. So that's how it's connected right now.
But it's existing now.
It's existing. Mike Hensley came out, looked at it. He's like, yeah, looks fine, just add. So right now the connection to the septic.
So it's unpermitted now.
Yeah, I didn't realize, I didn't know. I apologize. I didn't
Well,
know. So,
So that.
So is the tiny home already in existence?
it's,
Yeah,
what happened is, this was my fault. I didn't realize this was a problem. I had an RV, so I brought an RV and I connected the RV.
Uh-huh.
And then, I listed it for rent and David sent me a letter saying, Lauren, you can't do that. That's not allowed. And I said, I'm sorry. So I sold the RV. So I sold the RV and then I thought, so I wanted to do this process. So I started this process. But since I teach during the school year and I have the summers off, I bought a tiny house and I'm working on it. If it's not approved, I sell it. If it gets approved, it'll be used. But right now it's a totally unfinished.
And it's not connected.
It's not
Okay,
connected.
so it's not connected, that's,
So it,
That's
right.
yeah,
So-
that's,
So this
Well, it is
isn't like an
connected, but it's not-
Airstream or an RV or,
No, it's a
Any-
tiny,
it's a tiny house on wheels, so it's like a,
well, I mean, your permit, your narrative says 10 by 30.
right.
I think a picture of it would be helpful for the board to have in the.
Well, the question is are you really gonna do it? If the state says you need to have a separate septic tank, are you really gonna do that?
I'll probably talk with the state and, I mean, the flow from that is so minimal. Or,
Well, it's like a bedroom, so my question was, can your existing system handle the additional bedroom?
yeah,
That's like one.
and, this is long-term, it's not really part of this, but. The septic was put in 30 years ago. It's about time, I'm planning in my head to have the next generation of septic. I've never had any problems. I don't have any indication that it will be a problem. But, one thing I was talking to David with too is as we start to think about what is the long-term goal of this property, is this going to be transient housing forever, or could this be, maybe we do a conversion to residential on part of it? I'm still
Yeah.
working with David. The next iteration will be, what's that gonna be? And then that's gonna change what the septic demand is. So
Right.
at that stage, then it's gonna be about,
Uh-huh.
all right, let's redo the septic for the whole site. Let's make sure that all that's good. So
Yeah.
that's sort of iteration number 2, but I wanted to learn the process. I wanted to see how this works. And so that we tried to take a more bite-sized approach right now, rather than go for everything, which would be really hard
Right.
for all of us.
Yeah, because I think if you add a bedroom, then you have to prove the state required, you have to prove that the septic system is able to accommodate that. And if you don't have a plan,
Well,
if
the
there's no
state,
plan, then you have to,
yeah, the state wants to have a plan for any additional bedrooms that you're adding. So I just did one today, their septic system, they have a 3-bedroom house and a 4-bedroom septic system. They are adding an addition to the house for a 4th bedroom, not a problem. The state wants to see that 4th bedroom, so that in their records, they know how many bedrooms, what's attached to that system. And so they want a plan for that.
for that system, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I had a quick, just for my own information, that on the tiny house, it's off the ground, so then your pipe, the septic pipe has to run through the air.
Yeah, it's
So-
like a normal RV connection, so they have,
So it doesn't freeze in the winter, or you don't use it in the winter?
no, they have heat tape or, but
Okay.
they generally say that if you keep the wind off them, you keep this rigid insulation around them,
It doesn't.
the water, you have to keep the water lines heat taped, but you wouldn't necessarily have to have the drain lines
Right,
heat taped,
right.
because the liquid just goes out, goes down, and
Yeah.
it's gone.
Yeah, well, it's not really, I just was curious, because I never knew how that worked, but yeah, okay.
So we're looking for, on the septic disposal, septic design for the tiny home.
Yes, you need
Or
a design.
either design or approval letter or something, right, from the state.
Yeah.
Electrical lines and equipment, we've discussed that, we'd like to have those shown.
Also again, just for the, the tiny house, how that's getting power.
Got it.
Exterior lighting, there's kind of minimal information provided for the lighting, but,
Typically on the plans, the board in the past has wanted to have the locations of all the lighting marked on the plan. So if you have any lighting, again, going forward, it would be nice to have all the exterior lighting marked and all the new or the proposed exterior lighting that you're putting on.
Okay.
Like it doesn't have to be, exact what is just lights here, 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 and here.
They are described.
So the wall packs that
Yeah.
you have, I mean, it looks like they're solar. It looks like they're gonna be, but is it on the western side of the barn? Cause that's where the entrance is.
I'm
And
just gonna have to, depending on what gets approved, we'll put them where it makes sense.
well, no, but see, we need to know where you're gonna put them. That's part of like what we're doing is planning. And so I was,
So then
I was worried that, I mean, and if the lower one is covered by a deck that's above it, is it gonna get any sun? Because it looks like it's a solar powered thing and it's on the west side of the
No,
building.
the solar powered ones are just the foot lighting that you would mount like at knee level. So like you
Right.
park here and then you walk and it senses your motion and it just lights, it's a really nice, easy.
Right, okay, so can I just say something? When you have them and they're like that, the snow sometimes gets up that high. You need to shovel around them so that they're gonna be effective or, so there's a problem that way on the Ledyard Bridge. Come to find, the snow piles up and then those lights aren't good anymore. So I just wanna caution you, it says waist height in your application, so waist height seem better, but you still need to kind of make sure your snow is cleared away so that, it's not shining into a snowbank and not on the path where the person is.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, so I do wanna know, where they're gonna be mounted and where the illumination is gonna go. Otherwise, so, and I don't care if they're solar or plug-in. I just wanna make sure that if you're providing that as a safety feature, that it's gonna actually work. And it didn't seem to me if they were on the, covered by a deck on the west side, that they were gonna be really, that the solar was a good choice.
Okay,
So, phone cable and communication lines, we need this, so that was kind of discussed earlier. Fuel storage, distribution lines and equipment. Um.
Yeah, how,
So how are these new buildings, including the tiny home, being heated and,
everything's electric heat pump.
okay? And what about the tiny home
The tiny house, same thing.
so
heat pump?
two pedestals where they're mounted,
Yeah,
can you show where the location is, footprint of those pedestals?
And just
Okay.
also, it'd be nice in the narration if it said that they're going to be heated or cooled by
okay.
heat pumps, that way.
That's cool. Air conditioning,
That's,
heat pump.
Is your service big enough to take the additional units that you're putting on?
The electrician is evaluated, and yes, and that's one part of the reason they'll add a new service in here.
To that one, but the service to the, your developed area is all good, the wires that you have and,
That's the
enough.
indication from the electrician.
yeah. And does, these new units, are they having washer and dryers
Yes,
and the tiny house too, or no? Okay. Do you have a common laundry in the big, yeah,
Protection and response plan. Is this the same as what we've asked?
It's a different, normally a, fire protection and response plan is something that the chief will provide, saying, if there's an incident, the first thing he'll note is that the main house is sprinkled, and that there's a X number gallon cistern to supply that, and I don't know if there's fire department hookups for that, for them to usually, they plug into the sprinkler system and pump more water in if if you've used up everything, and then he will also note how what his plan is for any of the other buildings. You'll look at a building and say, okay, this building has X number of square feet of space. If it's on fire, we will need X number of gallons of water, and this is how we're gonna get it.
So the town's fire chief is preparing that, or this is what Lauren has?
Well,
that'd be
recommended?
Aaron,
Is what you need to ask the fire chief to prepare.
so that's Aaron Rich, so.
It's Aaron Rich.
Right.
He's the one that, he knows all the calculation. It's not a huge. It's not gonna be a page saying, we have,
Okay,
this building will need X number of gallons. We can supply that with our trucks.
and,
Or we'll have to bring in tankers from surrounding towns to shuttle water in, that's.
okay, and we want that, board members?
Yeah, I think Aaron should
Yeah.
look at it.
it's gonna be there anyway.
And he should, be looking at this anyway, because if there's a problem, he's the one that has to respond, and he should know what's on the property, so that he knows. It's just to your benefit to have him well
Familiar.
aware of where everything is, and
Yeah, so he's not surprised when he gets there.
Rights of way and traveled surface of all fronting streets.
I'm thinking that this is so far
From River Road.
from River Road that it's you could waive that. I don't see any benefit to the board to add.
Okay,
Right,
That would be my recommendation.
landscaping plan, I'm curious with what is shown here is, and particularly with the lighting, is there an impact to neighbors? Like where are the neighbors' houses. and
I
that
don't
sort of
think so, I mean, from what I know, the
The
property.
Stanoviches are the ones that would be, and I don't, offhand know exactly where the house is, but I don't think,
I think
it's
it's
a good
blocked.
distance away.
Yeah, you can't even see.
No, you can't
Yeah.
see it, yeah.
thing.
Not to worry about the.
So are we gonna waive the
Exactly, we
landscape
don't care
plan
about the people in
requirement?
Vermont.
I think.
I haven't been down there, so I don't know. I mean, it feels to me like we're getting a base plan here, but,
Mhm.
I don't know, is there any significant landscaping that would be a problem if it was removed in the future?
I don't know what they
I
do
don't
for
think so.
drainage or if there is any kind of, I mean, you don't have any. Like drainage swales or rain gardens or anything like that. I think this was done before
yeah,
they tried to do anything, maybe there should be, but. Yeah,
Well, as Lauren said, it's pretty flat and then it drops down to the next flat areas.
yeah, but I mean, you know, there's usually some sort of. Most commercial places have landscaping. They have a flower garden here or a,
Yeah.
you know. Specimen apple tree there or something that.
I do know that next to the house, it looks like you've got, vegetation shown. I mean, are there trees or is there solid vegetation?
This is at the blue house, at the big house,
The big house, yeah.
nothing will change,
Uh-huh.
that's the question,
No, I'm just wondering what is there now.
grass.
Okay, because there's a wooded edge here shown on the plan.
David's got it up on the screen.
Yeah,
Looking at, Tassanovich is from the main house is 800 feet away, and then from the barn. And actually, that house is not even being used, so I'm not sure which one of the,
Uses the little trailer
is it one of
right
these?
there, yeah,
Yeah, so, that's 700 feet from the,
and those trees are, 100 feet tall.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, yeah, let's put landscape plan on the waiver list.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Drainage and erosion control.
Rich Brown, do you want to see those plans? I can share them. The aerial photography of the build of the,
I'm actually following along on Google Maps and
okay,
I see that there's a real big thicket to the north. So I think that's what we're talking about.
yes, I just,
Yeah.
I didn't want to exclude you because I didn't share it on the Zoom.
Oh dear, there, now I'm unmuted. Thank you for including me. I was looking at Google Maps and on my own and saw there's quite a thicket there.
Okay,
Existing and proposing grades of drainage systems, we're saying because it's existing, we would give them a waiver.
We're not adding any impervious area, so.
Right.
Okay. Existing and proposed method of handling water runoff. Again, that's a
drainage
waiver.
plan, yeah.
Direction of flow of the runoff through the use of arrows. Again, we're waiving that.
Yeah,
Location, elevation, size of catch basins, dry wells, drainage ditches, swales, retention basins, we're waiving that. And we're waiving the engineering calculations.
Yep.
Building layout plan, shape, size, dimensions, elevation, and location of existing and proposed structures on the property, so.
Well, we have that on this
We do
plan.
have that.
but it
Um,
doesn't have the
The
dimensions.
dimensions that need to be provided, yeah, of course, floor area, lot coverage, building footprint.
So we want that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we just need to make sure it's zoning compliant.
yeah.
Right.
Show conceptual plans and elevations of all proposed structures. and breakdown of the floor.
Picture of the tiny house, see what it looks like. Oh, you do? Okay. I'll send it to David so he can, you put
I
it up
saw
on the
it this
screen.
morning.
Oh, you did?
From a distance, I didn't walk up to it.
Mm.
So,
So that's really the only thing, and then maybe the barn's gonna change a little bit with windows and doors. All right,
So Laura, you bought that from somebody?
Yeah,
It was already, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend who was building one a few years ago. Yeah,
well,
she had it so that the roof would hydraulically go up and down, so she could go under 13.6, on the bridges and
that's
stuff.
smart.
Yeah,
cool.
the whole thing was hydraulic. She pushed a button and the roof would go up or down 3 feet.
So if you want to go on the road, if it's 10 feet, is it really 10 feet wide?
It's whatever the legal width is.
8 feet, I think it's.
So yeah, it must be 8 feet.
Oh, okay.
I didn't wanna, since I didn't have the tiny house when I put it in the application, I didn't wanna say one thing and have it be bigger, so I put in a larger.
Oh, okay.
You need a fifth wheel truck to pull that down.
You do. it's
Yeah.
not- it's really-
So how high is it? The whole,
The
the
whole
height?
thing, it's just below whatever the. legal
13.6
limit
is the,
It's just
that's
below.
what all the bridges are on the interstates and stuff.
Well, you can't go on
Check it.
parkways in New York,
Well, that's true,
they
yeah,
go down to 9 feet.
right, I know, but mostly it's 13.
That's when you have your bike on the car and you go
Yeah,
like this when
yeah,
you go.
yeah. Yeah.
So what are we saying about showing conceptual plans and elevations? You had concerns about the deck or whatnot of this barn.
Yeah,
Conversion.
I get it from what the floor plan was, it just that, what I didn't see is the exterior stairs.
Mhm.
And there may need to be a second means of egress, especially from the second floor.
We have casement windows in all the bedrooms, we have all of that.
So you're allowed to jump out the window, that's your second means of egress, is that okay? When you're renting?
Yes, you always have a door and then a door and then you have a primary. So your primary means of egress would be the door. Your
Right.
secondary mean would be a window with with a opening with a clear area of
Right.
5.7 square feet.
And you're supposed to jump?
It's
Up or
not
down.
that far.
There's the hill
Oh.
goes like this and then the barn, so it's even from the second floor, it's not. very-
Even from the second floor, you're supposed to
Yeah.
jump?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's only 20 feet.
that can't be right, it can't be right.
Well, if you're
You throw your kid out first and then you jump, or you tell the kid to jump into your arms, and what, no.
You hope there's
Can't be
snow on the
right.
ground and you're
No.
all set.
Again, we'll let Hensley.
That's Mike's
Yeah.
Michael's jurisdiction, isn't it?
Well, we wanna know if there's stairway needed, and so maybe you need 2 stairways, I don't know, but it
Again,
just
that's-
doesn't seem right.
Well,
Where the
Michael,
lot coverage is going to come in to make sure that building, if you need more space, that we can try to.
So what am I
Do what we
marking on
need to
this
do.
position then? For showing conceptual plans, are we saying?
I think,
We need
You're
to know
talking
what the
about a deck,
stairwells are.
Is that?
Yeah.
an
Okay.
existing
Stairways
piece
are,
was
it's not
already there?
stairwell, it's stairway.
The proposed barn would have a deck off of this end here.
Okay, that should be shown on the plan.
Okay, well, yeah, that should be shown on the plan, but it is shown in his,
Yeah.
the floor plan, yeah.
And just the dimensions on that, just so that we can,
Yeah.
again, that's going to be an addition
Thank you.
that I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
make sure to conform to the zoning.
And you're saying that even from the second floor, because of the topography of the site, there are places where you could climb out a window and it's not a drop?
Cause there's a drop, but it's the same, I mean, in any property management is something I've been doing forever, so you always have. The second means of egress is the window and you have a door, so in this case, they have the casement windows and you know.
How far of a drop is it from that window to the ground?
You break your leg, but at least you're alive.
Yeah, you're alive, that's what
That's
matters.
not right, I'm sorry, that's so not right, especially when you get to be my age, I mean, when you're in your 60s.
A 1 foot fall, you break your leg.
You can just trip over your cat and break your leg, you don't have to even jump out 10
I
feet.
think that's beyond our
yeah, Mike Hensley can,
purview
he
though.
must know.
Yeah.
So you can't quite step out, but it wouldn't be much of a drop.
I wanna see you step out of this one. We're gonna go down and have a little.
I don't know, I mean, when I renovated my house, my contractor told me I had to have or my architect told me I had to have a certain size window.
Right, is it, are
Right,
you
yeah,
renting
7
this?
square
Is
feet.
this
No,
a
I'm not.
business property?
No.
No, it's your
No.
residence. It's a
Yeah.
very different thing when we have people coming to stay here and they're paying their rent to have a safe spot. And so I, great for you, but there's a different standard for when we're creating rental property, for me.
But there must be I mean,
I'm
Mike
sure there
Kinsey
are.
must know. so
I'm
he
sure
can-
there are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So we're down to federal, state and local approvals, copies of each and all required federal, state and local permits.
Kind of. Cart before the horse, because, I can't approve the septic plans until the board approves the, site plan. So,
So a little lag time on that,
yeah, but,
state approvals.
yeah, as far as I'm concerned, we have for the barn anyway, we have, a septic plan that's done by a licensed septic designer.
Right.
There may be some minor changes to get it through the state, but usually they're,
Well, those aren't really our problem. All we
Right.
care about is that it's a state approved system. and
Right, and
It's
so
gonna
there
be the
will be-
same general area
Yeah,
and that's fine.
exactly,
Yeah,
there
we
will
don't
be a
have
state approved
to-
system,
So-
and the same
yeah.
for the tiny house.
Okay,
It's gonna have to get approved by
Okay.
DVS for the
Yep.
connection into the system.
Well, we only have 8 pages to go, so we're good.
we're done.
These are long.
Poor Lauren here, we put him through the ringer here. Well, so, can I just summarize what I think we've done?
Yes.
So on the, certified mail list, you're just indicating that, you prepared this plan and and what the base is. The special, okay, those are non-applicable. So we are, considering waiving the, highway department review, the select board review, the conservation commission and the school board reviews.
Yes,
Right.
But we do want, fire and police.
yes.
On the,
I'll take care of talking to Sean on that one.
um. On the narrative, the utilities need to be shown in an approximate location. The lot size, footprint, information, floor areas, et cetera, that information needs to be submitted.
David writing these down.
He's gonna get, he's gonna
Yeah,
get.
you're gonna get that.
Okay.
Copy.
On the traffic and parking, you're going to show describe the width of the driveway.
Every handicap spot.
And handicap space. We are going to waive the traffic flows onto connecting roads.
Yep.
Parking plan again is to show the handicap space. We would like to have snow plowing, snow storage described or shown. We're going to waive the pedestrian circulation.
Yep.
We're gonna waive the boundary survey. We'd like to have you show on the tax map and names and addresses of the abutters on this
And so,
insert set. We need a graphic scale and notice to who prepared the plan.
Yep.
Zoning districts,
Yep.
Just a note saying
That
that
it's
it's
all rural.
entirely within the rural district.
Yeah, we it's a graphic scale and date,
Okay,
okay?
and date. We're waiving the professional seal,
Yep.
or we could ask for it. Are you a civil?
I am, but I don't.
You don't want to stamp your own project? Um,
We're not asking for any kind of engineering professional expertise on this.
Yeah.
We just want to have a clear site
Right.
plan that's not necessarily, you know, accurately placed, but clear enough so that we know what we're approving and what we have now and what we think you want to have approved and built. So that's, yeah, unfortunately, you should be able to do that.
Town of Lyme, the Conservation District, we're gonna waive that. We wanna see, the snow plan, driveway easement, indicate the driveway easement for the adjacent lot. We want to have the utilities shown. On the underground, show current and proposed water system. You need the septic design for the tiny home. Need the electric and, fiber and communication shown. Show the location and type of lighting on the plan. Show and describe the, fuel storage distribution. That's your heat pumps.
Pedestals, yeah.
And that applies with the air conditioning. We'll want the fire protection response plan from the fire chief. We're gonna waive the rights of way and traveled surface of fronting streets. We're gonna waive the landscape plan. We're gonna waive all of the drainage and erosion control items
And engineering calculations.
and engineering calculations.
Yep.
Building layout plan, we still want that. And we want the plans to show the stairway for the apartments. The two apartments you're creating.
Stairway in
The barn.
the
In the-
patio. Or the
Decks.
Deck.
deck, yeah.
The stairway and the what for the deck?
In the deck.
And
Oh. And on state approvals, we need the tiny home septic plan.
So I have a question. Do you need to provide emergency lighting on any of these? Or is it just regular residential lighting? Because you have a commercial situation.
I'll talk with our Vermont life safety guy and ask him.
Okay, because I didn't know if you needed to have like your regular lighting and then if everything fails, you know, emergency lighting, because it is a public building.
Do you have a generator?
backup generator. And that,
Yeah, you're in New Hampshire Co-op, is it?
You ever source?
Oh, you are? You don't lose it as much then. That's New Hampshire Co-op.
This past year was a challenge, wasn't it?
You
just saw
have-
that they filed for a 42% rate hike at Eversource.
Oh,
Eversource.
really?
Really?
42.
Wow.
Glad I'm with Direct Energy.
Live community power.
Yeah.
Well, they want to pay me like 3 cents a kilowatt for my excess solar.
So, do you have
You're
a
lucky to get
dumpster?
that.
Where's the dumpster located?
Oh,
Here.
Can we just put that on your plan when you, you know, jazz it up a bit? Okay, great. So the
Add
dumpster,
that to, under the site plan general map.
dumpster. And mailboxes?
We just have one mailbox. I asked David if I could put more mailboxes and he said, you can. So we don't.
Well, you wouldn't have addresses for those mailboxes. You know, if you have inside your house and you want to put mailboxes for the individual units that you are. But people should not be getting, you know, again, they're not. These are transient orders are not something that they should be,
So,
they, right, if they want to get mail, you know, they get a PO box.
Oh, emergency lighting?
yeah, he doesn't know if it's needed, but just in the event that it is, to have the emergency lighting shown.
And if you need it, if you have a backup generator.
Yeah, because when the power goes out, the emergency lights go on, fueled by the generator or battery pack.
Well,
This
a lot
last-
of times the generator just powers all of them, so.
Well,
Right,
maybe
but
it would.
like this last time,
Yeah,
when
not
we
all
had the big,
generators of the whole house.
Yeah.
we had the big line fiber outage. During that last power outage was because the generator at
The
the
line.
Lyme Inn wouldn't start.
Right.
And they power the node for line fiber, and so. Because their generator was not working,
Yeah,
so you
So
can't
maybe you
always,
need backup lighting.
right, you can't guarantee that the generator,
Is gonna
you
go.
should.
Generator wouldn't start. They're supposed to check themselves once a week.
Yeah, but if it doesn't start and nobody, you know. Checks it, you know, we have a generator out back here that kicks on every Wednesday around noon. But if none of us hear it and none of us think about it,
It doesn't send a text message.
It
to you?
doesn't.
it doesn't, you know,
That
no one
propane.
knows.
They should put an alarm on.
well,
I'll have to check
I'm sure don't you have a maintenance contract? where
I do,
Yeah,
but he brings up an issue,
Yeah.
if it doesn't work.
Well, I mean, in
Have
your
a
house, in
little
your
light.
case, when it doesn't work, your lights aren't coming on. You're like, hey, how come my generator's not coming on?
Right,
Yeah.
right, but if it hasn't been working for like 3 months,
yeah, but
because I haven't been paying attention to the Thursday afternoon for 20 minutes.
you don't
Yeah.
have a little light, cause there's a green light and a red light that looks kind of yellowish. So if it's not happy, it usually has the yellow light on, and you see.
Can we
Yeah.
proceed? So it appears that we don't have a complete application.
Yes,
So I would like to do what we can do to help expedite this and not have to start from square zero.
what you can do is vote that it's, the application is incomplete.
Okay,
And then, you know about how long it's gonna take you to gather the information, zoning board, I knew this was coming up, so I've already scheduled you on next month's zoning board, but they have a heavy load, that you're the fourth. Case for them, but I'm gonna try to get you in, for the 18th of next month, if that works for you. And so we try to get that done as you're doing all the updates. And then, once the board votes that application is complete, you can vote to continue the hearing. To a time and date specific, so figure out when the next hearing or next meeting. Would have to be after the 18th of next month, assuming that the zoning board can get. Stuff that I would suggest the second meeting in August would be probably a likely meeting for the board. And then just continue it to 7 o'clock on that night. And then you don't have to reapply, you don't have to renotice, so there's no more cost for. You're doing that, so your application isn't dead, it's incomplete, and the board is saying, we're giving you time to. Go back and complete everything that they want.
And David, Lawrence, you have to go through the state for the septic system, right?
Right. And
So
that- I don't know
could
how-
that be done in that timeframe?
I don't know how long,
I'll just have to take this tiny house off. Choice.
For now, I mean, you could do it, yeah.
For now.
so, yeah, what I would do is just, if you can write me a letter that it'll go in the file saying you've withdrawn that part of the application.
That's fine.
You don't think you can get a state approval by August?
Well, I have to redo the septic for the entire inn.
Well, I don't,
Maybe not.
if you have enough,
That in a bedroom.
but if you have enough capacity,
Yeah, but
But this was a design 30 years ago. A design 30 years ago for a building isn't gonna be designed to today's standards with one more building.
Right, because I
We just
think, from
know
what,
that's-
I think from what you've told me before, that you have to prove to the state somehow that that system is big enough for that extra bedroom.
I hired an engineering consulting firm. They did the analysis. They said if I took this off of it, then it would meet today's standards. But then I have to do a septic system for this one, and then this one stays 30 years old. So.
you couldn't put that one on the new system you're installing.
No.
No.
So
Yeah.
that's why these things sort of,
Yeah,
I wanted to do the small thing and then get to the big thing, because this is gonna be $100,000 septic system.
Yes,
yeah.
So,
easily. Yeah.
Crazy, yeah, it's crazy.
And,
Yeah, because you have no plan for that 30-year-old one. Really,
well, these are the plans
these are the
right
plans,
here.
yeah.
I have the plans, but they were
But-
30 years ago, it met the requirements.
oh, so you do have, okay.
But today, you couldn't build the same size system and have it work. And since you're adding something to it,
Right,
they're gonna say, you need to bring the whole system up to.
right,
the-
yeah, because, yeah,
That's why it's
well,
called.
it's good you have a plan.
So even
That's
Even
not
if
us
you're-
doing that. That's the state.
Yeah, it's not, no one's fault, it's.
As, you know, the zoning says I have to make sure that it's going to meet
Yeah.
the septic regulations.
One request I have, so it cost me $300 to print these. Can I send them digitally, the new plans?
I think we need to have at least,
Not a fan.
Yeah.
I like to really be able to see it. I have a laptop, it's not that big.
Make do with one set instead of 10.
Well, who looks at theirs before and marks them up? I do. So,
that's,
Okay,
I
I
always
just
do, but,
understand.
I have no problem, well, even
Could you-
electronically, I think.
One for
You have a
Vicky
printer,
and
right?
I have a
one
printer.
for everybody else.
So it's like $30 a plan?
There are 3 pages and 10 sets.
okay, well, we don't need we don't need detail on the old septic system, or, what I want is just your site plan. I don't need, you don't need to do the second.
Just the one page.
Yeah, just the one page, because it shows the whole site, and you're not,
The requirements, according to the zoning, is at a 1 to 20 scale,
right,
and this is 1 to 40.
right, I think didn't we talk about waiving that?
Okay, great.
I mean,
Well, did we? I
No, you
wasn't,
talked
No,
about
we
a
talked-
graphic scale.
yeah,
we
putting a
talked about
graphic
that.
scale, I mean, I don't really think that. I mean, I don't want this, because it really doesn't show me, and, this whole thing, I don't really care about.
That's the 1 to 20 scale.
Yeah,
requirement.
this is what I care about is the site, because so this would be one sheet would be fine with me.
So you're happy with 1 to 40? scale?
Yeah, I mean, he's a clever fellow. He's gonna be able to put things in so that I can see clearly. That this is the existing drilled well serving the entire development, and, he's gonna figure it out. And, yeah, you can change this, yes, I'm fine with that. I mean, is anybody like really getting a whole lot of extra bang out of this? No,
No.
no, so, I mean,
So then how much would,
so I
Yeah,
think we
one page
do
plus.
want to waive the
Like
20 scale.
yeah, yeah, I put that on the waiver list then.
That manageable then?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Where would that be?
I'm sorry, I'm pretty old school and, I don't have a very big computer and this is a lot easier for me.
You know, the first thing I do is I take a plan, I set it out and, I go through the checklist and I start circling things with a marker to make sure that, that's how I know what's here, what's
You
not
want
here.
him to give us 2 copies of this plan as amended per our discussion? One for you and one for Vicky? Is that enough?
Well,
Sorry,
I
I'm
would
so
like,
neat.
I think
I would think
they're-
the board members should get.
yeah, well, Lauren just said 10 would be $100,
Yeah, I think
if that's
10,
okay, it would
because
be,
that
it would be a
way
lot
there's
easier for
7
us.
members. I need at least one, the tax assessor is going to want to see one. And
And
So, and then there'll be one that will be signed by Rich that goes in the file.
Yeah, so 10 sounds like.
Yeah, I think that would be,
That'd be great, thank you.
And are we 100% sure that the only reason he needs to go to the ZBA is for that variance for 446?
as submitted, everything is, you know, but when you start adding a deck and adding a walkway and extra parking, I don't know. You know,
See,
'cause
that's the thing, is that I don't want you to have to go twice to the zoning board. I think it'd be nice if you only had to go once. So is there a way to get to that?
Do the lot size calculation, coverage calculation first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, like, I don't want this to have to drag on forever and ever, just to, you know, but that's,
But he can measure all the buildings, right?
well, yeah, but I mean, okay, so how fast can that get done? So that, when do you need to do the noticing for,
next week,
okay,
because I am out, the first week of July. And so I have to have all my notices and everything. And like I said, there are already 3 that I'm working on now.
so can you guys talk about that? What the deadline is for Lauren to get you the information so that you can review it and know whether.
Well, you know, we're adding that information, you know, we're really pushing, because like I say, I'm working on 3 other applications already. And so having to, go through it and do a 4th one, we're pushing what I have time for right now.
Okay, but you guys can work that out. Otherwise, I don't think it's like this hurry up and wait thing is, if he has to go to a second zoning board meeting, isn't a great idea. So we should
So
make
if you
sure.
can do the lot coverage calculation and see that you're well under, even if
Yeah.
it's not exactly precise,
Right,
that you have some room,
Yeah.
then it makes sense to go to the ZBA
Yeah.
next month
just
with
for,
asking
one-
about that 2-unit conversion.
Exactly.
on the other hand, if it's close, then you might want to push off going to the zoning board so you can get everything at once.
Right, the next meeting after, next month is the 15th of August, which is again, if this board, continues to the 22nd of August,
mhm.
that should be time to, get to the zoning board. They usually try to make the decision that night. So, we would have the decision.
So we can keep our tentatively scheduled continuance of this hearing for the
The 22nd.
22nd.
Yeah. Okay,
That's one second.
Do we,
So-
do we need to go all the way to the second meeting in August? Could we not do it the first meeting in August?
Well, I don't know how long, you know, if we can get to the zoning board, you
The
know,
18th of July.
next month, then,
I'll work on this until I give you everything you want, even if it's taking me all night.
um,
4 nights.
because I still have to do, you know, once you get those calculations, I have to do the lot calculations, you know, taking out the conservation districts. That doesn't take too long. And then we'll know if that's. And, you'll need to give me dimensions of any additions of parking that you want to put in.
yeah. And that's hoping that the ZBA will see him on the 18th or be able to fit it in on the 18th.
I'm hoping the other cases are not overly complicated.
Yeah, okay.
And like I said, since you did approve, Aaron, I'm gonna work very hard to get him. At
Yeah.
the meeting,
Yeah,
and, we'll have a 3-member board.
Can I ask about these parking spaces, up by the main house that have changed the location? Such that it's decreased the turning radius. Do we anticipate that the fire chief is gonna say that's a no-go?
I have no idea.
Or maybe you want to talk to him about that. I don't know what the fire department wants for
You can always put
turning.
the spaces where they're originally shown on the plan.
That's what
which is
I was
all-
thinking.
Yeah, so I think he's got plenty of room. Lauren may need to modify based on what the fire department says, but I don't think
Yeah.
it's a stopper.
yeah, there's enough
Okay.
space there.
I mean, that does increase the site.
Right.
The coverage that's being used, but I'm just wondering if it's that size because of the fire department to begin with, because it,
Yeah, I don't know, there's nothing in the file from the fire department, so it would be a matter of, you know, having them.
It's about 40 feet wide right now.
yeah. Well, fire departments typically like lots of room.
Yeah.
Well, you have a volunteer department and the people are not used to driving trucks. Most of them are not used to
Yeah.
driving trucks that big. And so maneuvering them, having
Yeah.
extra room is,
Well, side swiping all the vehicles there, I mean, we might be saving lives, but a lot of people could be very inconvenienced. And we can do something about that by planning so that the
Yeah.
fire department can get in and those people's cars are safe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
shouldn't,
So David, do we need a motion to continue this?
well, we need a motion and a vote that the application is incomplete.
I'll move that the application is incomplete.
I'll second.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in support of the incomplete application? All those opposed? Okay,
And then you have to have a motion to continue the hearing to whichever date. You know, I tended just giving yourself an extra 2 weeks. Go to the second meeting in August, but that's again between you and the board.
So what happens if we continue it to the first meeting and then it doesn't happen?
Then you can continue it to the second meeting.
Why don't we do that?
why don't we
Why
do
don't
that?
Okay, so you'd want to continue to August 8th.
Yeah, so I make a motion, we continue the meeting to August 8th.
Second? Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
I just have to clarify, it would be at 7 PM because there could be time and date.
Okay,
So,
It's, yeah.
I'm not gonna be here August 8th.
okay.
Have fun, you guys.
Where are you going this?
And who seconded the motion?
Wedding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you all spent a lot of time and I really thank you. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. And I know it's hard to tell people that they gotta go back to the drawing board, but you guys are doing it with your hearts in the right place. So thank you.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Well, we're overtime, we get more pay tonight because we're overtime, so.
Right. It's sufficiently concrete that you know exactly what you need to do.
I'm on the clock, see you, bye.
well, you've
Move-
got
move
a big project that certainly helps provide additional housing in the valley, so that's a nice.
So I would think that this keeps the,
Move to adjourn.
I accept that motion.
Mark Bollinger reported that the rise in Eversource is just on the transmission side,
Just.
it's not on the supply side.
Oh,
Yeah, well, that's.
I looked at it, and I read it like all times.
Lyme Community Power will compete on the supply side, so we won't be able to do anything about the 42%.
Yeah, I've always said for years even that, you know, if Eversource starts losing their money on the electricity, they will just keep raising it,
Exactly.
you know.
we have adjourned, yes.
I'm just giving out.
Thank you.
I'm gonna shut down.
These are extra copies.